Hello, everyone. We're back here once again with the Total NASL Roundtable. I'm here once again with Theo. How are you tonight, Theo?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. So let's talk about your Fury. They drew 1-1 against the Rowdies. So can
Yep.
you break down that match and what that means for them in the postseason?
Well, it was one of those draws that felt like a loss. We were up 1-0 late in the game on a Tommy Heineman wonder strike, one of the nicest goals that he has scored for Ottawa. And I think I say that every time he scores, but he keeps getting better and better. He had his back to goal, and he received the ball just outside the box. He spun and shot like out of nowhere, and it caught everybody by surprise, and he put it right in the corner of the goal. Beautiful goal, 1-0 Ottawa. And then the Rowdies went down to 10 men, and we kind of bunkered. It was weird. I think Dos Santos might have been trying to preserve some legs there, being on the road and everything, but it backfired because the Rowdies kept coming and coming, and Freddie Adu made a beautiful pass, a nice chip pass over the defense. And who was it for the strikers that scored? I can't remember, but he got onto the ball and he blasted it past Pezer. And that was it. 1-1 the score, and we got a point out of it. Minnesota won, and so they snuck closer to us in the combined standings. They're now tied on points in the combined standings in second place, because your Cosmos, they won their game in hand.
Yeah, the Cosmos, they beat the Eddies 3-0. Like it was a great match because the Cosmos, they finally got our revenge. If you guys don't know, we lost to the Eddies on the away trip when we went up to Clark Stadium, and that was a very, very bad match because the Cosmos they were rotating their squad just because, and the clarification was that Eric Stover, Gio, they said that the players would just beat and they just needed some time off. But yeah, so it's great that the Cosmos got the victory at home, 3-0, and we are at top of the table. And that's huge because if this holds, we play the Rowdies in the semifinals. And that's going to be a big match because that's who we play on the last game of the season. So, Theo, you guys have a game in hand, and you guys play the San Antonio Scorpions this weekend.
Yeah, we play San Antonio on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And guess what?
What?
It might snow.
For real?
Yep. They're calling for some flurries on the weekend. Temperature is going to go near 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. That's near freezing for you Americans out there. And yeah, it's going to be chilly. So San Antonio comes in hot. They are two game winning streak, I believe. And Alan Marcinus' squad is going to come in. They've got a lot of Southerners in that squad, Mexicans, Colombians. They might not like our chilly weather up here. Yeah. So that should be an advantage because the Fury have been training in the cold this week. It's not very hot in Ottawa this week. We're getting very late fall weather here. And it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to bundle up. We're going to have some hot chocolate or something else to keep us warm. And it'll be a great time out.
And do you know if the NASL has a yellow ball or an orange ball ready for the snow?
That's a good question. I think they have a yellow ball. I seem to remember that last season when we started out at Carleton University, in April, there was still snow on the ground. Not on the field, obviously, but there was a yellow ball, I believe, that we used last fall.
And that was the official Voigt ball, right?
Yep, it was, yeah.
Never seen that yellow ball around. Maybe we'll have to catch the Sunday matchup, the Fury San Antonio Scorpions.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the soccer ball's in Ottawa and you come down, you're going to see the yellow ball.
Yeah, in person. Great. So do you have a score prediction for the match?
Yeah, I'm going to say that the Fury are going to put a bunch of goals past the Scorpions. I'm going to go with a very confident 3-0 win. I think the team is mindful that a tiebreaker could be in play right now, because on goal difference right now, Minnesota is ahead in that second place spot in the combined standings, and that's something that'll be on the mind of the players and coaching staff in Ottawa. So 3-0, mark it down.
That's a big scoreline. And last question about this matchup: do you think the Fury are going to rest some players, maybe in the hopes of resting those players for the postseason?
Well, I know for a fact that Richie Ryan, the captain, will not play. Mark Dos Santos has already come out and said that he's going to rest the captain. He's recovering from a little injury. It's nothing serious, but it's enough because we've clinched the playoffs already to be able to give him that rest that he needs to be 100%, and so he's going to do that. Tommy Heineman was on the trainer's table at practice today. Did not practice with the full team. He could be another one that's going to get a break. I was surprised to see him on the field last week, to be honest. Happy he was there because he scored. But I thought he was getting a rest last week, but he didn't. He's going to get it this week, I'm pretty certain, because he didn't practice at all with the full team, with a full squad this week.
So some bad news for the New York Cosmos, or maybe some good news for some fans. Hopefully it's not, or for some NASL supporters around the league. Raul is going to hang up his boots at the end of the season. Yesterday, it was reported by some Spanish outlets, but today it was confirmed by the club because they heard about the reports. Raul officially is retiring at the end of the season, and so many question marks come up about this retirement, because Cosmos supporters all knew that he was one day that he was going to retire. I don't think if we knew it was going to be in his first season, because all the excitement was there for Raul to come, for him to play. And I just don't think, for the hardcore Cosmos fan, I don't think that the love for Raul has died down yet. For him leaving, it's a bit sad, because we didn't see his full potential with the Cosmos. People have said that he was great on the field, great off the pitch. Yes, he was. But he didn't bring so much to the team because he didn't play more than one season. He only played one season for the New York Cosmos. If he brings a title home to New York, you can say, well, he was the greatest star in the reboot season to play for the Cosmos. Okay, yes. But the biggest question mark is him potentially not heading the academy, which that was big news when he signed with the club. A lot of haters out there were saying that why did the Cosmos sign a big star? And then when they heard that he would head the academy when he retired, people were like, well, that's a great deal. That's great for the future of the Cosmos. And now when Raul is saying that he may be reconsidering heading the academy for the New York Cosmos, that's really worrying for Cosmos supporters worldwide. And I don't know how it is for you, Theo. What are your thoughts on Raul? And do you want to see him go just because he may be hurting the Fury? And what are your thoughts like on the league as a whole? Yeah. Because with Raul in the league, it's like, well, they're decent, they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I take a broader perspective on that. Actually, like, obviously he's a dangerous player, but I don't mind that. I don't mind the Fury playing against a dangerous player because it's an entertaining thing to watch. And it's good for the league. I mean, Raul turned a lot of heads when it was announced that he had signed for the NASL. Many thought that he would come to the MLS instead of NASL because that's the trend of big players who are on the late side of their career coming to MLS and finishing it out there. NASL, it was a coup for them to land Raul. And it's been a great marketing tool as well. I know just for myself, if I'm talking to someone who doesn't know the NASL and they ask me, well, what is this league? Is it like semi-pro? I'm like, no. Do you remember Raul? And they're like, yeah. Like, well, he plays for the New York Cosmos. It immediately gives legitimacy to the league when you can say a name like that. With Raul gone, what are we going to say? Marco Senna? he is one of the best players in NASL, but he's not a household name. This was a legend that was playing in NASL. And to see him leave after one season is disappointing. Absolutely. I share your grief on that. And the decision on his part to leave and maybe even not fulfill the full part of his contract that dealt with the academy is a disappointment, especially for New York Cosmos supporters, because, well, he might have helped there. And that's still a name that you could have attached to an ASL. If he just picks up and leaves, it says two things. It says, one, perhaps he didn't enjoy his time in North America, which is an issue because he's going to go back and other players are going to ask him, is this something I should do? And maybe his answer will be no. And on the second front, it says that perhaps he had expectations of New York, of the Cosmos that weren't fulfilled. I'm just speculating, but if he came into this saying, yeah, I'll sign on to the academy afterwards and coach there, and now he's saying, meh, not so much, it's not good.
Maybe he didn't like the atmosphere. Maybe he didn't like the stadium. Maybe
Can
he
you
thought,
imagine, like, you are Raul, you've played at this Santiago Bernabeu in front of, what is it, 60, 70,000 people there.
mm-hmm.
And you think, hey, I'm going to go to New York. There's a revival of football in North America. I'll be a source. I don't know exactly how they sold him on playing at Schwartz.
Well, they did a good job. So
They did, but they might not have been truthful,
yeah.
right? Because maybe he sort of showed up and he went, what, I'm playing on that field with the lacrosse lines and the empty stands? It's not as sexy. Yeah, I know, but it's the truth. And when you're Raul and you have an idea of New York in your mind, that's not it. I can assure you. So it's not good. Not good.
But don't you think before he signed, he knew what he was getting into? I was at the match when this big Raul sighting was going on, when they actually showed him. He was in the suites. I think he was watching a Cosmos versus Indy 11 match last season. So he actually knew what he was getting into. So yeah. I just think he has his mind elsewhere. He just doesn't have his mind with the Cosmos anymore. I think, like, really, when he set foot on the field for the Cosmos, he was just like, well, in the future, I want to go play for Real. I mean, not play for, he already did, but maybe coach or do something with Real Madrid. And I think that's what is in his mind, is that club.
Absolutely. Real Madrid is Raul. Raul is Real Madrid. I mean, if you have an offer on the table, no disrespect to the Cosmos. Really, really, no disrespect. I'm not saying this for taking a shot at you guys, but if you have the choice between the Cosmos and going to Real Madrid to coach, there's no choice there. You go to Real Madrid. It's just that's the way it is, man.
And the Cosmos are going to be faced with two big tasks of replacing Marco Senna and Raul because they're both retiring at the end of the season. And two big blows for the club because these are our two biggest stars, the big noticeable people on the team. So you can say, well, we can replace them by just putting younger players that we have on the bench, which that could be a great alternative because we have some decent players on the bench, on the reserves that can actually fill their roles and play them for a bright future. Or we can say, well, we can just go out and buy some experienced players. But again, I just don't want to be rebuilding every year. And I don't think the Cosmos have been doing this, but I feel like if we keep buying Raul, if we keep buying the Marco Sennas, the 36, 37 years old when they get here, what do we actually expect from these players? Do we expect them to score 20 goals a season? They're not going to have the same ability as they had with the club that they were great with. So I just think buying younger players is the key for the New York Cosmos for the future. Buying that Raul to sell tickets, to sell shirts, that was great. It worked for a couple of games in the beginning of the spring season. The first match, it was really crowded. Everyone was so excited. and they just couldn't hold that excitement for the whole season. And I just don't know why it happened. Did people get tired of watching Raul? I don't see how you ever get tired of watching him.
No.
Uh, so I just feel that people just don't like the stadium. They probably just don't like the atmosphere. But I just don't think that should hold you back of supporting any team. It don't matter where they play. Like the Fury, they played at a college, but that was because they were building their own stadium. But did that hold you back from going to those first couple of matches in the spring season, even though you knew that there was going to be TD Place, this big stadium, a very exciting prospect of a stadium?
No, but I'm a bad example. I mean, that wouldn't have affected me if they were playing at Algonquin, like a smaller college in Ottawa. I would have gone to that. I love football, and I will go to the highest. Not even just the highest, but I will go to professional soccer in Ottawa. I'll go and watch games there. I'm a bad example. I do know, like, for sure it plays a part. If you have this scraggly old stadium with benches, with when not even benches, like, oh yeah, benches, not seats, right?
Metal benches too.
Metal benches, like we had at Carleton last year. If you go to that and you're like, well, I could spend my $20 here, or I can go like be in a comfy movie theater. For the casual fan, that's a hard choice for the team to sell a person on. But at the stadium at TD Place, you've got these nice seats, you've got a good atmosphere. Although the atmosphere at Carleton was nice, but that was all because of the hope that we had something to work towards and go to the big stadium in mid-season. We were only there for a few months. So the stadium does make a huge difference. And we talked about this last year. I don't think we should rehash that. It's just that the stadium does. And at the end of the day, the casual fan will be affected by what's on offer, their comfort level, and the atmosphere that is presented. Not just the action on the field, but their own surroundings and the way they feel when they're in the stadium.
Well, I feel at the Cosmos matches, I feel that the price of a regular ticket is worth what you're getting at the stadium. On the field, it's a bargain. It's a great product that you're paying a very reasonable price. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. But
no problem.
Yeah, so it's a very reasonable price to watch the Cosmos. The match day experience, what do you expect, really, from a team that is having big trouble actually getting a stadium? And we can never get, or we may not be able to get that proposed stadium because they're talking about reopening up the proposal for other bidders. So that can mean that we may not be able to build that stadium, that picture, and I dream every night of that picture of, okay, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at that shop. I'm going to be in that stadium and cheering on the Cosmos, cheering on Raul. And the Cosmos have said that they are looking elsewhere. But now looking elsewhere before was, okay, we're just seeing our options for now. But now it's we have to look elsewhere because we're not going to build that stadium. They're not even thinking about us. But it's taking years to actually say, well, okay, now we have to look elsewhere because New York State doesn't care. They don't care about our ambitions as a club. And when they signed Senna, when they signed Raul, they say that, oh, we show them the project. I don't think the project has fulfilled their thoughts of what the project was going to be for the season. But then I don't think Raul gave the project enough time either. So,
or maybe he knows something that we don't. I mean, like you said, there's rumors that the project is falling through. And maybe he knows that. Maybe he was told that. Like, oh, you know what? We told you we'd have a stadium in 2 years. It's not going to happen. So that can be a factor as well. It can also, like, we think that maybe Raul is not fulfilling the terms of his deal by not staying on at the academy, but it could also be the other way around, where they promised things to Raul and they did not fulfill those. It's anyways, it's a tough blow to the league, I think. And there's going to be some work that's going to had to be done in the off season if they're going to have a player come into the league that's even close to the cachet of a name like Raul. I just don't see it.
And a couple-fold question. The first one is, I just lost my question, but yeah, who else is out there to get a big name? Is there an actual player that's linked to the Cosmos or maybe linked for the future in the offseason? I know this player, I think he still plays for Palermo in Italy. His name is Enzo Maresca. He's a midfielder, and he was linked throughout the season to the Cosmos. And he's an older player. I think he's in his late 30s. But I feel like he would be maybe an option to replace Senna. I don't know if he would be a great starting option, but maybe off the bench to provide some minutes.
Again, like I follow a lot of football, and I've never heard his name. Like, that's not the guy that I'm going to tell people who are casual soccer fans, hey, Moresna's coming into the league. They'll just look at me with a blank stare.
Yeah, you're not going to sell tickets on that one. No. You're not going to
Miami FC, however. Miami FC. They've got some pull there with Nesta at that team, with Paolo Maldini at that team. They can go get some big names, call in some favors, and get some players to come in.
What are you talking about?
Well, Robinho has been floated around for a long time as coming, and apparently, it's close to a done deal that Robinho will be at Miami FC next season. And Robinho is a name that is not Raul status, but it's not Maresca, or am I getting his name right?
Yeah, close.
Right? Robinho is... People who are casual fans have heard the name before. He's played for Manchester City. He's played for AC Milan. He plays for Brazil. So
and may now play for Miami FC.
Yeah, so there's one name that comes to mind. I think New York has some work to do. I think it's easier to sell players on Miami Beach than where the New York Cosmos play.
The hard reality is for Cosmos supporters to accept all this. So right now, it's like, this is my club. This is actually what's going on. Before, I thought it was a lot brighter right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Fury supporters probably don't go through the same thing, but I feel like it's very hard to actually swallow all this.
No.
And say,
Fury supporters are realistic. They understand the nature of the position that we're in. A lot of our best players were brought in by Marc Dos Santos. Marc Dos Santos is leaving, and he was a masterful recruiter. He went and got players that should never have been in this league, and he got them to come to play in Ottawa. I mean, that's not a name that pops to mind. Even if you bring up Canada to Europeans, they think Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto, not Ottawa, right? And I live here. I love my city, and it's a beautiful city, and everybody should come. But
I'll be there one day.
And that's great, and you'll love it. But it's a hidden treasure. Like, nobody, like, it's not a top of mind for people to come here. So we're realistic about the type of players that we're not going to go get Robinho. We know that. Like, it's not even a possibility. Our best hope. Who?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but can you guys afford him?
No, we can't. We can't afford him. Not yet, anyways. Not with crowds of 6,000. If the Fury keep on growing and go to 10 and 12,000 at some point, then with the gate that you're getting, you might be able to go get a named player like that. But we're not in that situation right now. And our best chance of getting a named player is a named player that won't be a recognizable name in the rest of the NASL necessarily. It'll be a Canadian men's national team player who people have watched play numerous times, but not at a level of a Robinho or a Raul. Forget about it. That's not going to happen. When you think about a player, the type of player that we can get that people around here are going to recognize, you think of a Julian de Guzman. Julian de Guzman was the best signing in terms of marketing that the Fury could make. And even then, it's like a limited thing, because the Canadian men's national team isn't household names in Canada, right? For the most part. So, we are fully aware of our situation, and that to win, we have to keep the model that Marc Dos Santos implemented in Ottawa, which is this team effort, all in it to win together, happy-go-lucky team, and we can't just open the wallet and go get some players. That's not going to happen.
Do you think the Fury are seeing their return on their investment of the Guzman? Are you seeing a lot more people at the matches? Are you seeing a lot more tickets sold? Maybe because the captain of your national team is playing for your team. That's huge. If that will happen here, if the Cosmos sign the captain, it'd be huge. It'd be great. But the Cosmos have the captain of the El Salvadorian national team. That's not that huge, but at least we have a captain of a national team.
And it's, in New York, that's a big deal, because you might see some Salvadorians come. We've discussed this as well. There's a Salvadorian community. I think it's in the Bronx. They're pretty huge, and so they might come to games. But here in Canada, you asked me if the investment has paid off.
Mm-hmm.
I think yes. I think that you have to be very realistic about what the ceiling was on that investment, though. You're going to attract not the casual fans with that announcement. You're going to attract a group of people who have followed soccer closely, but maybe haven't come to a Fury game. It's a very limited market. It's like, oh yeah, I follow the national team, but yeah, the Fury, meh. And then you get Julian de Guzman, and they're like, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, shit, I'm going to go see some games because I like this guy. He's a popular player in Canada, so not in Toronto, but
in Ottawa.
In Ottawa, he's popular, and so it's these little victories that accumulate, and you got to put them together as a puzzle in a small market like Ottawa, and that's the thing that's the reason that the loss of Marc Dos Santos is going to sting so much, is that he was excellent at that. He's a master builder, and he says that he's implemented all this culture, and it's going to continue when he's gone. There's an aspect to his personality that we will miss, which is the recruiter, the guy who can make a phone call. I'll give you an example, and sorry for the sidetrack. This is a good story.
Okay. Yeah.
I sat down today with Romuald Paiser, our keeper. Okay, he's French, and I asked him. I said, "How did this come about? Were you playing in Portugal for Academica, and all of a sudden you're being transferred to Ottawa Fury in North America?" He goes, "It was the strangest thing. Marc Dos Santos is Portuguese Canadian, right? And he goes to Portugal a lot. So he goes to this bakery in Portugal, and the agent, Paiser's agent, and him are there, and the agent knows Dos Santos, and he says, "Hey, this is Romuald Paiser. He's a keeper." Blah blah blah. They meet. They sit down for an hour, and Dos Santos, not recruiting, not trying to sell the team. He's just talking about, well, yeah, I'm in Canada, I'm at Ottawa, I'm doing this and that, and we're building a team, it's great, blah, blah, blah. There's no talk of coming to Ottawa. But then at the end of the season, Paisel's sitting there with his agent, and again, a chance thing. They're sitting there in their office, they're going, okay, what are our options? Okay, well, there's France, there's a different thing. And the phone rings, and it's Dos Santos calling the agent about another player. He goes, "Hey, I've got Paiser here." And Paiser pipes up in the background. He goes, "Does he need a keeper?" And Dos Santos didn't need a keeper at that point. We had Deval Goric, who was doing a good job. And he goes, "Well, because you might be able to get Romuald Paiser." And then Dos Santos was like, "Okay, we need to get this done." So that's how that came about. And it was because of Dos Santos's personality in that chance meeting in the bakery in Portugal. It's crazy. It's a crazy story, but it just goes to show his charisma and his ability to motivate people want to play for him, and that's going to be missed in Ottawa.
Paiser is a great time waster, and that's all I'll say about Paiser.
Sure is. He's awesome.
I don't like that about him. Fury supporters are like, oh, that's great. He's wasting time. Yes. He got like 3 yellow cards for that.
He's got 4. And here's the thing: we in the scrum of the last home game, somebody asked him about that. They're like, Ormwald, you're on 4 yellow cards. Are you going to have to tone it down because you don't want your 5th yellow card, which would mean a suspension? And he said, "Oh, I do not worry about that." He says, "At one point in Portugal, I was on 4 yellow cards for 8 months." So he knows how to play the system, man.
So last question here about the Fury. You talked about Marc Dos Santos and how much he means for the Fury and all the experience that he has as a recruiter. But have you heard any names about who may take over his job next season? And who would you like to see get a chance to coach the Fury? I know you talked about, I think it was the Canadian national team's assistant coach or coach you were talking about.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's radio silence from the Fury on this. They're not talking about it. Dos Santos has been unequivocal. He's not talking about where he's going or who's replacing him. Who's replacing him. Who would I like to see? Well, at this point, I don't know what the options are, so it's hard. But it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world that if Martin Nash, who's the assistant head coach to Dos Santos right now, there would be some continuity there. It would be the similar system. Players know him. He's a former Canadian men's national team player. He might have connections there. So that's really the only thing. Philip Dos Santos is another option. That's Mark's brother who takes care of the academy. But there's some question amongst supporters and media as to whether he's got the leadership qualities to take over a head coaching job. I don't know. I have no opinion on that.
The third option, Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, he's living in Canada right now. He is, yeah. I think his wife or girlfriend is Canadian, and I think he's living in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
Great option. He's living in the country.
He's living in the country.
Fury need a head coach.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's just ready to jump on that offer. But
the best league in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I was actually talking about this with the Fury media director today, and we were talking about Ancelotti. It's weird that you bring it up, and we thought maybe he'd be an option in New York for New York City FC.
Oh,
yeah.
I think we say the Cosmos.
No, I think your coach is pretty good.
Yeah, he is. So let's get your thoughts on the voting for the Coach of the Year and the other votings that are going on.
Okay, well, Coach of the Year. Listen, there's no doubt about this. One of the smallest budgets in NASL, one of the top teams in NASL. You can't get around it. It's Marc Dos Santos. You can't be a homer about this. I'm not being a homer about this. If it was any other team, I would vote for him.
You're not?
He just deserves it. He is the best manager in NASL, and that's why he's going to MLS next year, presumably.
Reportedly, yes.
Yeah, reportedly. So that's not a coincidence. He is the best coach in NASL. He should get that award, hands down. If he doesn't get it, it's an inside job.
But if he doesn't get it, who else is Coach of the Year? Maybe Gunter, if they make the playoffs, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, for a while there, it looked like the Atlanta coach. I can't even remember his name.
Gary Smith?
Gary Smith. He was a candidate, but they've sort of faded. Yeah, there's no one else, man. It's Marc Dos Santos. It's not even. Let's move on to another category.
So, Golden Ball?
Golden Ball is not a vote, I don't think. It's based on statistics. Yeah? There might be an element. I heard that it was actually the team that had the keeper that had allowed the least amount of goals.
No, I think the Golden Ball was the MVP award. The last time I checked.
Okay.
I'll check it out right now. NASL Young Player of the Year.
Who are the candidates there?
We got Alec Barrett from their Armada, Brian Brown, forward from Indy 11, Justin Carrora, midfielder from FC Edmonton, Darwin Espinal, Tampa Bay Rowdies, and I'm messing this one up, but he plays for your Fury, Mauro,
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Eustachiou. So,
a lot more.
Okay, well, I can talk to you about Mauro. Mauro just came back to the Fury from representing Canada at the Olympic qualifying tournament, which Canada lost in the end to the US. And he played excellently. He was fabulous at the qualifying tournament for Canada's under-23 team. He's been excellent for Ottawa. He has grown immensely this year under the tutelage of Richie Ryan and Julian de Guzman. He is deserving of a vote. The two players on that list that are not Mauro that I would vote for are Espinal of Tampa.
Maybe Leo Fernandez from the Cosmos, maybe?
Well, yeah, Leo Fernandez has been good as well. I didn't hear
stats. 25 games, 21 starts, 1808 minutes, 8 goals and 3 assists, and Team of the Week twice.
Yeah, that's good.
And he's on loan from the Philadelphia Union, too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would not be upset if Leo Fernandez took that from Mauro Eustachiou. Yeah.
And the biggest part of that stat is that the Cosmos need to lock him up. We need to buy out his contract from the Union. And I saw on Twitter that Philadelphia Union fans are just forgetting about Fernandez. How can you forget about maybe one of the best players that you have out on loan?
It's almost a mystery to me why a team like the Union wouldn't keep that player. They are no good. They're a very bad MLS team, and maybe we have our answer. They just cleared out their front office.
That's coming from an Impact fan, so just to clarify that one.
Yeah, they're terrible. And so I don't know why you wouldn't have a Leo Fernandez proven scorer on your team. I think it's going to be tough for the Cosmos if whoever they hire at the Union knows what he's doing. He's going to the first thing he's going to do is recall Leo Fernandez.
Well, the Cosmos have the money to go out and buy him, so
they do.
They do. How much money it would actually cost them to buy out his contract, but I feel like it's worth it because the first match he started on the left wing, and I was like, well, what's going on? I don't know who Leo Fernandez is. How good is he against the Strikers? And then I think he got his first goal in the first match against the Strikers, and ever since that day, it was like, well, he should be on the left side every single match, and most of the time, that's where he was. A very quality midfielder that we need on this team. We really need him for the future. If we want to stay young, that's what we need. Okay, so that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our chat about the Cosmos, about the Fury, about the postseason, and about Raul retiring because the league is not going to be the same. The Cosmos are not going to be the same without Raul. Walking around Hofstra, playing on the turf, maybe the most hated, or maybe not the most hated turf at Hofstra. That's Silverbacks Park. But thank you everyone for tuning in. You can like us below, leave a comment if you see fit, and subscribe as well. Peace out, everyone.
See you later.